Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another regularly scheduled meeting of the Public Safety and Transportation Committee. I am the chair of the committee, Councilor Tariq Lucas of Ward 2. We are joined this evening by fellow committee members, Councilor Roach, Ward 6, Councilor Silber, Ward 8, Councilor Irish, Ward 5, Councilor Block, Ward 4, Councilor Wright, Ward 3. I hope I didn't forget any counselors. City staff that is present is our clerk, Danielle Delaney. We have David Kosis of DPW, Josh Morse in the mayor's office, the city COO, and we have Hannah Sternberg from, I believe, the planning department. And let's begin with our first item of the evening. Oh, Councilor Greenberg, you've raised your hand. Do you need to be? Oh, doesn't need to say anything. Okay. Um, so let's begin with our first item. The first item is docket number 364-25, parens 11-26, appeal of traffic council decision TC 58-25. This is being appealed by Councilors Maliki, Lobovitz, and Lucas, appealing the trial of the traffic council petition TC 5825. Which is request a trial to eliminate the left turn prohibition from Beacon Street eastbound into Langley Road Municipal Parking Lot. So we're going to begin with David Kosis of DPW, who I believe has a presentation. Mr. Kosis, it's all yours.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. I'm David Kosis. I'm the transportation coordinator, excuse me, from the Public Works Department. I'm also the traffic council chair, and I do have a brief presentation. I can set the stage for this item. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. And everyone can see this, right?
Yep.
Okay. So this is just a few slides. So this is several slides where it's basically the same presentation that was shown at Traffic Council back in November, at the November 20th meeting, with an additional slide or two at the end. This is the location that we were studying. This is Beacon Street, eastbound, taking the left into the Langley lot, the triangle lot in Newton Center. Here's a view of Beacon Street eastbound. And you can see for many years, we had signs posted on both sides, actually on the east side and on the west side, or on both sides of Beacon Street, that had a sign with no left turn into the parking lot. So that was the request. The docket requested, the item requested to remove that no left turn sign into the parking lot. And so after a discussion, well, one of the main reasons for removing the sign is because it was noted at the meeting that vehicles were taking the left into the lot anyway. And if the left turn, if the left turn continued not to be allowed, then it's pretty much it's a roundabout loop to get back into the lot if you miss it, if you can't take the left there. So you need to take the left onto Sumner Street and then Lyman, then down to Center Green, and then down to Langley Road and into the lot from this side. Or if you're in the know, you could, if you're traveling eastbound on Beacon Street, if you know that you could take the left on Center Street and then the right on Langley Road, you could enter in that direction, which is, I think, what most people do now. So at the meeting back in November, Traffic Council did vote to hold it as a trial. So the sign was accidentally removed a little bit too early. But at the Traffic Council vote was to hold the item as a trial, remove the left turn restriction, and just have staff monitor the situation, see what the conditions would be like, if that left turn into the lot was permitted, and then come back to traffic council for a subsequent discussion. So that item after the vote was appealed by 3 counselors. That's where we are tonight. As it was appealed, the sign was put back up. So the sign is in place right now. The no left turn sign has been put back. So for tonight, this committee has a couple different options after the discussion. The first option is to just uphold the traffic council vote. So if that's the committee's will, then the traffic council vote would stand. We would be doing the trial. We would again remove the no left turn into parking lot sign, and it would remain on the traffic council agenda and come back to traffic council just as was intended by traffic council. Another option would be also to uphold the traffic council vote, but change it in some way. This committee could decide to do some other kind of trial if it wished to do so. Another option would be to repeal the traffic council vote, which I think is perfectly acceptable by staff and by everybody, if that's the will of the committee, to just maintain the no left turn sign and keep everything how it is right now. That would be a vote to repeal the traffic council decision. They would be removed from the traffic council long agenda. No further discussion would occur if that's the will of the committee. And then, of course, there's always the option to remand the item back to traffic council for further discussion at traffic council. So those are your options. That's the whole presentation I have for tonight. Councilor Lucas, do you want me to leave this on the screen, or do you want me to stop sharing at this point?
Please stop sharing. I think Counselor Wright has something. Okay, thank you. So right now we're going to go to the appellants, who are myself, Counselor Malachy, and Lobovitz. But Counselor Malachy has designated Counselor Wright to give a brief presentation on why the item should be repealed, and I'm going to turn it over to Counselor Wright. Go ahead.
Thank you, Counselor Lucas. So, excuse me. I'm going to read into the record what Counselor Malachy, she did a pretty thorough job, what she wrote. The prohibition of left turns from eastbound Beacon Street into the Langley Triangle parking lot has been in place for at least 18 years, based on the left turn sign being visible on Google Street View going back to at least October 2007, as far as Google Street View goes. The sign was in place until sometime probably in the fall of 2025 when it disappeared, along with the no left turn for turning out of the parking lot onto Beacon. The signs have probably been in place much longer. I can show pictures of the signs if you'd like.
Go ahead. If you want to share, go ahead.
Let's see. Sorry. Let's see. Yeah, so she picked these up from Google Street View and stuff. So you can see on the right there, the no left turn that was there. And that's coming out of the parking lot. And as you can see, there's traffic in that, and you got to deal with traffic trying to make that left turn. It's hard to make the right turn, let alone the left turn. And then on the left here, this is going eastbound on Beacon Street towards Boston. And then on the left side, there's a no left turn into the parking lot. I'm going to, stop sharing. Go back to what she wrote. Sorry about this. Oh, crap. Okay. So then she went in on, at the November 20th, 2025 Traffic Council discussion of TC 58-25, no evidence was presented that the left turn prohibition had been a problem. It was only noted that some people make the left turn despite the no left turn sign. Councilor Lipoff said he sometimes made the left turn. Newton Center residents who are familiar with the intersection spoke about how traffic on Beacon backs up and is worsened when drivers try to make that left turn. I observed this myself while standing at Center and Beacon in November during a Saturday noon standout. The fact that a regulation is sometimes violated is not a sufficient reason to repeal it. I myself have witnessed backups from this too. It was also suggested that since the signs were already removed, we might as well do a pilot in not having them. There was no explanation of how the signs and even the metal pole at the parking lot entrance had been removed in error, other than a miscommunication. I pointed out that it was not good practice to do something without approval and then use the fact that it was already done to justify leaving it that way. A resident asked how a trial would be monitored and measured and was told the city staff would do it. It's unclear how that would have been possible, as we already been months without our 2 traffic engineer positions filled. Subsequent to the filing of this appeal of the trial, the signs were restored and appeared to be larger, or at least newer and cleaner and more eye-catching. Most unpermitted left turns are likely occurring when traffic is light. In contrast, when traffic on Beacon Street is heavy, if left turns are allowed, eastbound cars waiting for a gap in westbound traffic in order to turn left will back up eastbound cars into a very busy Center Street, Beacon Street intersection. Having spent more time than usual observing the Center Beacon intersection at one of those busy times, I don't believe we should make a change that would make the intersection worse. And I agree with Councilor Malachy. That's it.
Are you all set? Okay, good. So I just want to say that we've been joined by Councilors Golden of Ward 7 and Councilor Kelly, not on the committee, but always welcome. And we've also been joined by city staff, Zach Lamel and Nora Massler-Colello of the Planning Department. So we're going to go into the public comment portion of this appeal. If there are any members of the public who want to comment on the left turn into the Langley Road parking lot, please raise your virtual hand and I will call on you. We have one person. Okay, please, 2 people. Okay, we're going to go with Jesse Corey. Please unmute, state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Jesse Corey. I live at 64 Oak Cliff Road in Newtonville. And my comment about the appeal against, in regards to the trial to remove the left turn prohibition from Beacon Street eastbound into the Newton Center municipal lot is it's from what Councilor Malachy said. It sounds like this issue has both safety and convenience as factors in regards to this topic, and my suggestion in regards to the fact that this was docketed in the event that some vehicles still make the left turn is that we should move forward with a trial to allow left turns at some times of the day in which traffic is light, but have a time boundary or have some hours in which there's a lot more traffic, in which left turns should not be allowed in order to reduce backups, as was mentioned in that statement. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Corey. We're going to go to Mary Lee Belleville. Please unmute and state your address, please.
I'm Mary Lee Belleville, 136 Warren Street in Newton Center. I travel through Newton Center frequently, obviously, and the intersection at Center and Beacon is quite challenging. And I did attend the meeting when this was previously discussed, and I agree with Councilor Malachy. There was no real rationale for the proposal in the first place, other than because people ignore it. But I support retaining the restriction on the left turn, in the interest of keeping the flow of traffic through Newton Center at least bearable. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Belville. I see no more hands from the public who want to comment on this. So we're going to bring this into committee. Counselors, if you have want to make any comments on this petition, please raise your virtual hand and I will call on you. Okay. We're going to go with Counselor Block, then followed by Counselor Silber.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to clarify something. I'm looking at the Traffic Council decision description, and as I understand it, the vote in the Traffic Council was to establish a trial that eliminated the left turn prohibition from Beacon Street eastbound into the parking lot. So this doesn't address people leaving the parking lot and turning onto Beacon Street, either westbound or eastbound. Well, eastbound. I just want to make sure I understand that. So it's not that the traffic leaving the parking lot, it's only the traffic entering the parking lot, and whether a left turn lane from Beacon Street heading eastbound should be eliminated on a trial basis. Do I understand that correctly? Maybe Mr. Kozis can just confirm my reading of this.
Yes, Councillor Block, your understanding is correct.
Okay, just, the eliminate the prohibition, it's just sort of like a double negative and it's a little confusing. Okay. That's my only question for now. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Block. We'll go Counselor Silber, then Counselor Roach.
Thank you, Chair. So just a couple of comments. Right now, we have an allowed left turn going southbound on Center onto Beacon, which causes a lot of traffic issues, generally speaking, because it's a matter of prediction whether someone's going to turn or not turn, and whether there's a clear flow or whether you have to go around. So I think there's complexity already with left turns in Newton Center. I'm not super thrilled about the idea of just removing a sign as a trial. So I think if the solution would be that we really want to let people take left turns, then I think the best solution would be a no block intersection, removing the parking spaces, and then allowing left turns, which is to allow traffic to pass through on the right side. We would have to eliminate, I didn't get a quick glance, but I think 3 or 4 spaces. And we would have to prevent people from blocking the intersection. So that, in my mind, is sort of option 1 for a trial. I like Mr. Corey's suggestion of limited timing, but I think my sense is that those are harder to enforce. And then I think the third option is to alter the egress and entrance there to make it not possible to take a left turn, and in turn making it maybe a little bit better to improve the flow of traffic. Because what I've noticed is if you're sometimes heading westbound on Beacon, there will be people who will approach that egress point in the left lane, making it not possible to turn. So I think there's definitely something needs to be solved there, but I don't necessarily support just eliminating the sign as the solution to this. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Silber. Excuse me, Counselor Silber. Sorry about that. Counselor Roach, then Counselor Wright.
Thank you. I think Counselor Malachy, my preference would be to defer to Traffic Council, their process and their deliberation. On this one, however, I agree with the points that Counselor Malachy made. This is not the right way to approach a trial where the elimination of a sign for inadvertence or whatever then becomes the basis for a trial. the second point I want to make is I believe Councilor Silver's suggestion, one I think is probably too complex, the elimination of parking and the don't block the intersection striping. However, I do think that something physical to discourage or prevent a left turn from the eastbound traffic lane does make sense. But in terms of the item as it's before us, I will not support it, and basically for the reasons Councilor Malachy laid out.
So, Councilor Roach, just to be clear, you are in agreement with Councilor Malachy for the appeal. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I
Okay,
thought
Councilor Wright
you said the opposite.
Councilor Wright is nodding in assent. She's
Okay.
ready
All
to
right.
put words in my mouth. Is that
Okay. All right. I don't want to, just want to be clear.
Yeah, no.
All right. Are you all set?
Yep.
Okay, good. Councilor Wright.
Thank you. So yes, I agree with Councilor Malachy. I mean, no one requested this. It just kind of happened because the sign disappeared. And I don't think that's a good reason to do it. And as most of us know, that Beacon Center Street intersection can be crazy, and you want to get a flow of traffic, and this is not going to help with the flow of traffic. So I don't support removing or keeping or removing the signs.
You want to keep the prohibition.
Yes.
So you are for the appeal.
Yes, I'm for the appeal.
Good.
Yes.
All right. Councilor Irish, go ahead. You're muted.
Just want to echo what my colleagues have mentioned about not sufficient justification for doing a pilot just simply because it disappeared. But just want to offer a small, maybe perhaps suggestion if it was around confusion about where to park and looking at the diagram that Mr. Kosas presented and sort of a roundabout way to get back in, possibly putting in a sign where public parking is and on Center Street to direct people where for the entrance for the parking is. If that sort of people are confused about how to get back to it, maybe just help do a little wayfinding with the sign of where the public parking entrance is, that it's not on Beacon Street, that it's over on Langley, believe. So that was just a small suggestion, and I too would support the repeal of the prohibition. Thank you.
I just want to be clear. Are
Yeah,
you
number 3?
I think
Yes, I would. It should be repealed. I would support that.
you support the appeal.
Repeal. Yes.
So you want to allow turns.
No. I'd support with Councilor Malachy and all of her and every of my colleagues. So yes.
Okay. All right. I just
Repeal
want
the traffic. Yes, I support.
these appeal, repeal. Yes, no. These are always confusing on traffic
I believe
council.
it was number 3 on the original on our options.
Got it. Okay. And I'm going to go over those again before we take a vote. Councilor Roach, I think I saw your hand up. Do you want to say something else?
I just real quick, I think Councilor Irish is absolutely right. Wayfinding could help solve this problem. Wayfinding for parking in Newton Center is inadequate, but as a larger problem as well, that could help solve it.
Okay, thank you. I have a question. Oh, Councilor Golden.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. This is for David Kosas, I believe. I apologize, David, if I missed this, but could you tease out a bit why Traffic Council felt that the traffic backing up into Center Street, into that intersection and causing an impediment to flow shouldn't be so much of a concern? Presumably, the council did not see that as a major threat, but I guess I echo the sentiments of many of my colleagues that pushing that traffic westerly as people wait to execute a turn into the lot does strike me as a pretty significant likelihood. And just wondering if you could sort of drill down on that a bit if I missed it.
Well, thank you for the question. I guess I would say that I did not docket the item. I did vote to hold it as a trial with the knowledge that trials could be appealed. I usually think it's a good idea to try things in general, but I guess I would also say that I don't disagree with anything that was stated by anybody, by Councilor Wright or Malachy or any member of the public.
Thank you.
Okay, all set. Councilor Golden?
I am all set. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I have a quick question for Mr. Kosis, and then we will need to take a vote. If we were to, the city were to install wayfinding signage around Newton Center, would that have to go through traffic council, or can that be done at the administrative level?
So that does not go through traffic council. I could take this message if you'd like and forward it to our traffic superintendent who's in charge of citywide signage.
Okay, thank you. Very helpful. So, councilors on the committee, does anyone want to make a motion? We could do appeal, which is appeal approved. We could appeal approved as amended. We could deny the appeal. We could remand this back to traffic council, or we could hold for a trial. Mr. Kosis.
Just a suggestion, would you like me to put back up the slide that showed the 4 options?
Please. Okay. Okay, councilors, we have option 1, uphold the traffic council decision. Option 2, we have Councilor Roach. Go ahead. You're muted.
I did not mean to interrupt you, so please continue the review of the.
Option 2, uphold the traffic council decision with amendments. Option 3, we can repeal the traffic council decision, which is what Councilor Malachy's email that was read into the record by Councilor Wright, or we could remand the matter back to traffic council. So I will accept a motion from anyone on the committee.
Motion to repeal the traffic council decision.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor from Councilor Roach, which is option 3, repeal the traffic council decision. Any further discussion on this item? I don't see any hands. So let's take a vote on option 3. Let's see, let's do a roll call. Ms. Delaney, can you call the roll, please?
Okay, Councilor Lucas.
Yes, or aye.
Okay, Councilor Greenberg. Councilor Greenberg. I'll call her again. Councilor Wright.
Aye.
Councilor Block.
Aye.
Councilor Irish.
Aye.
Councilor Roach.
Aye.
Councilor Golden.
Aye.
Councilor Silber.
Aye.
And Councilor Greenberg.
She just said no. I can't unmute, so she is.
Okay, let
I
me
believe she is opposed to the motion. I don't.
let me
Yeah.
help her out here.
Yeah, I can't.
Councilor Greenberg.
Hi, thank you for that. I'm sorry, I couldn't unmute. No,
Okay.
I'm an aye.
You're an
Oh.
aye. Okay, so
All right.
the vote is 8-0.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And like all matters that come before a committee, it goes to the full city council for approval. Okay, let's move on to the next item, which is item 372-25, parens 14-26, appeal of traffic council decision TC 43-25, Holly Vera of Bristol Road appealing the approval of traffic council petition TC 4325, which is to create a no parking zone on Bristol Road near Com Ave. So for this petition, we are going to, I believe, go again with Mr. Kosis. Then we're going to go to Holly Vera, and then comments from the public, and then into the committee. So, Mr. Kosis, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Councilor Lucas. Just a few slides to set the stage again. These are again the slides that were shown at the Traffic Council meeting on November 20th. So this is a view of Bristol Road. Bristol Road is a short street between Commonwealth Avenue and Prince Street. There's currently no parking restrictions on either side of Bristol Road, and an item was docketed to restrict parking somewhere within this area of the red rectangle. Here's a view of Bristol Road. It's looking south toward Commonwealth Avenue. It's a 24-foot wide street. I wasn't exactly sure when I saw the item what was being requested. It requested a parking restriction between the driveway, the first driveway, and Commonwealth Avenue. So it's a circular driveway. I wasn't exactly sure where the restriction is requested, the southerly part of the driveway or the northerly part. So I came up on this slide with two different options. If the idea was to post a no parking sign to the south of the driveway, it would be posted here as shown. That would be 55 feet north of the Commonwealth Avenue carriageway. If the idea was to post the sign to the north of the driveway, it would be located as shown here. That would be 145 feet north of the carriageway. So there were a few options that were presented. One option would be to deny the request entirely, or the other option is to approve it, either option one, south of the driveway, or option two, north of the driveway. So what Traffic Council decided to do at that meeting was to approve option one, to post the no parking here to corner sign just to the south of the driveway. So that was what was approved, to post the sign 55 feet north of the carriageway. Now, interestingly enough, city staff does have the administrative authority to post signs to a point that's 50 feet north, 50 feet in any direction, really, of any intersection. We do that regularly throughout the city to sort of clear out the sight lines very close to intersections. So, we could have just posted a sign 50 feet north of the intersection, which would be just basically right here, just 5 feet south of where option one is shown here. But we didn't really know what was being requested. We went through the Traffic Council process. We voted to restrict the parking 55 feet north of the intersection. So that was the vote. It was appealed, and we have the same, this committee has the same options as for the last item. Either vote to uphold the Traffic Council decision. That would mean that the Traffic Council vote stands and the sign would be posted 55 feet north of the intersection. That was option one. This committee could vote to uphold the Traffic Council vote, but change it slightly within the area that was docketed, the same geographic area. This committee could vote to repeal the Traffic Council decision, reverse the vote. So in that case, there would be no sign posted, no change to the parking regulations, and that's the end of the item. Or, of course, it could be remanded back to Traffic Council. So those are the options. I'm going to stop share, and I could put the slide back up later on if it's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kosis. And yes, when the time comes, please put that last slide up. We are now going to turn to the appellant. That is Holly Vera. If you could please unmute if you can, and you can present your appeal. Ms. Delaney, I think you may need to.
Okay, I think I'm all set now.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I'd just like to start by saying I submitted to the committee a written position statement just last week with supported by photographs of the area in question. And also my neighbors on Bristol Road and Chestnut Street neighbors whose driveways have access to Bristol, as well as those living in the surrounding streets of my neighborhood, have submitted emails to the committee in support of my appeal. My name is Holly, and I live at 45 Bristol Road, right at the intersection with the carriage lane. I've lived there for over 40 years and have observed traffic conditions almost daily during that time. In all my years of observation, I have never seen a problem from parking in the subject area. I'm here to appeal the Traffic Council's vote on TC 43-25, which would permit a no parking zone all hours, all days in front of my home. I think we can all agree that adding restrictive signage should be based on facts, not assumptions, and that the key question is whether it actually improves safety. Here, the facts show that the proposed no parking sign is aimed at a problem that no longer exists. Whatever sense a no parking zone may have made before the stop sign was moved, it does not make sense now. The photos presented at the council hearing showing cars parked close to the intersection were taken before the stop sign was moved to its current location. Even then, those cars were parked illegally under both state and Newton law. Those photos don't reflect current conditions. Today, the stop sign is about 15 feet from the carriage lane, and state law already prohibits parking within 20 feet of the intersection, and Newton law prohibits parking within 10 feet of the stop sign. Together, that creates about 25 feet of no parking zone. Visibility is often cited as the concern, but visibility here is excellent. The photos I submitted with my position statement show clear, unobstructed sight lines from the stop sign, from approaching vehicles, and from the carriage lane in both directions, even when a car is legally parked. Speed is just as important. A legally parked car near the stop sign actually slows approaching vehicles. Drivers see the parked car and the 3 clearly visible stop signs. This creates a traffic calming, bringing cars to a full stop well before the intersection. Removing that space would do the opposite. Finally, eliminating this parking spot would create real hardship for people with mobility or vision impairments who rely on it to reach nearby homes and the carriage lane, especially in bad weather. In short, and most important, the relocated stop sign, the 3 stop signs, and the existing laws already address safety at this intersection. The safety goals have been met. The proposed no parking sign would add cost, inconvenience, and reduce safety without any benefit. Thank you. I can't hear him.
Thank you, Ms. Vera. We are now going to turn to the public comments. So if you would like to address the committee as a member of the public, please raise your virtual hand and I will call on you. Let's see, first person is Marcelo Pagnano. Please state your name and address. Oh, you need to unmute, sir. You need to unmute. Ms. Delaney, can you unmute him, please?
Thank you. I'm now unmuted.
Yep, and I should point one thing out. You'll have 3 minutes to address the committee. Go ahead.
I don't need that amount of time. My name is Marcello Pagano, and I live on 320 Chestnut Street. And if you look at that first picture that was shown of Bristol Street, it's the red house on the top left-hand corner. And I just wanted to confirm and support and completely agree with what Holly said, and it would be silly for me to just repeat it, but I'm just providing full support. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're now going to go to Jane Hanser, name and address, and you have 3 minutes. No, we need to unmute her. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Lucas. So this is not a traffic problem as was originally presented, but is a safety issue. There are thousands of old and young recreational users along the carriage road. They're out in the cold weather. They're already training for the Boston Marathon. And we're going to start to see other charitable walks and races along the carriage road. Between Bristol and Chestnut is a popular starting place for many runners, and everybody, whether you're a runner or a bicyclist or walking your dog, you need to feed through only 3 5-foot openings that DPW has designated for bicycle and pedestrian traffic. And I think everybody city councilors saw that image when I submitted my written testimony. So the short no parking here, no parking zone provides visibility. It is preventive. It improves sight lines and it enhances the safety of all carriage road units. A driver must move. If there's well, all right, I'm going to go on. Newton's existing parking regulations are all available for all to see. And one of those is a Massachusetts baseline no parking here to corner. That's 20 feet right there. With Bristol, there's a lot of water infrastructure. There's a lack of curbing. A lot of the grass is receded, and it's not even clear where the actual corner is. Plus, there is a Newton regulation, no parking 5 feet within a driveway. So we're talking, and then you have the 5 feet by that inner barrier that must be kept clear because that's how DPW designed it. So we're talking maybe 30 feet of no parking. To me, it's irrelevant 50 or 55 feet. But that zone must be kept clear. And it's too short a time to say that the stop sign being moved is going to prevent people from parking there, because I've seen a lot of people park in Newton right up to a stop sign, right up to the corner. We need one no parking zone clearly identified as one single no parking here to the end of the Tacoma sign. Drivers do park there. We can't say they don't. Bernie McDonald and I and Commissioner Sullivan met at that very corner only a few months ago to discuss multiple safety issues, and he again and again emphasized that we can't put anything there because anything there would obstruct visibility. So,
can you wrap up?
Yes. Thankfully, the carriage road is a healthy and beautiful resource for all of Newton, whether you live on Bristol or not. And this is a simple, low-cost solution that addresses visibility issues and ensures safety for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hanser. We're now going to go to Henry Vera. Please state your name and address, please.
Hi, Henry Vera, 350 Chestnut Street, West Newton. I'm the second driveway up on Bristol Road. My driveway runs from Chestnut Street to Bristol Road. And no need for me to review everything. I'm just here to say that I support Holly's appeal to repeal the traffic, the no parking. I see it as, I've been on the road, I've been on the street since 1971, and I see no problem. I just feel it's a solution in search of a problem that doesn't exist. And if it were to continue with a no parking, it's just one more thing that poor Newton police have to monitor. So again, I support the appeal. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to go to Andrea Smith. Apologies if I mispronounced your name. Just state your name and address.
That's okay. It's Andrea. Andrea Smith. I'm at 40 Bristol Road across the street from Holly. And I have lived there since 1981. I understand that Jane is talking much about the safety issues of the runners and the bikers and the walkers, but I agree with Henry that this is a solution or a problem, and this is not a problem that needs a solution. I think that the walkers and the runners and the bikers all have to take responsibility for their actions and their activities. There are 5 stop signs there, and that should be sufficient for them to notice that there's a roadway and they need to pay attention. I also support the repeal of this.
All set?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. We're now going to go to M. Ward. Name and address, please. You need to unmute first.
Hi there. Margaret Ward, 957 Washington Street. I'm struck by the similarity in the conversation that we're having about this docketed item. And the reason why it's so similar to me, or it seems so similar to me, is because as a resident on Washington Street, as you know, there was it still is a pilot that was planned on where they implemented a bike lane and they reduced from 4 lanes to 2 lanes. Now, I'm a resident. I live on Washington Street, and other residents who live in the area spoke and had concerns about a lot of issues. And it all fell on deaf ears. And now we have all the problems that I worry about is, like, for example, pulling out of my driveway. I can't, the queuing of cars, the increased pollution, all that stuff is happening right now. And so I asked the question, it seems like I know that, you know, there are changes or ideas or projects, but at what point, where do the local residents, the people who are actually going to be impacted most, at what point do we say, you know, we weigh in, like, you know, you have a say in something? You know, the residents in this area, I'm hear them, they're speaking, right? They're saying that, no, it's not a problem. At what point do we say, you know, the people who live on Bristol Road actually probably know the safety best. They drive it. They intimately know the safety best. They know the pedestrian traffic. They know the biking traffic. They live there. And at what point do we say, we're gonna give you some credibility to your testimony on this matter? And maybe that weighs more than outsiders who want to come in and impose changes simply because they bike on the area or they run in the area or whatever. So I just asked this committee and actually our city council to just, you know, maybe some balance in how we approach some of these projects and actually give some weight to the feedback of the local residents who are impacted most by it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the public before we take this into the committee or council? Oh, we have one more. Mary Lee Belleville.
Thanks. This was the same traffic council meeting that I referenced I attended before, and I remember Holly's testimony, which I thought was very compelling. And I agree that, you know, with Meg's comment that the folks that live on that street, they certainly have the most vested interest in the safety of the street. And I'm not hearing any demand or request for this. So I would support the repeal and trust Holly Vera's assessment that this is not necessary. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from members of the public before we take this into the committee and council? Okay, seeing none, I see Councillor Kelly, not on the committee, but always welcome. You're up first.
Thank you, Chair Lucas. This has been interesting for me to listen to. As most of you know, I'm one of the Ward 3 councilors at large, and I live in Ward 3, and I used to live very close to here. The materials that Ms. Vera submitted to us all, the photos showing what it looks like with a car parked there, which from what I understand is normally either a guest of the people who live at this end of Bristol Road, only maybe 6 houses on this very short, small street, not much traffic. Their guests, their family, their friends park in that spot, as does their mailman. The stop signs that were installed, her photos were very compelling to me to show that there is clear visibility. Even with a car parked there, you can see pedestrians, bicyclists, dog walkers coming up. Perhaps when this was first proposed, and I hate to disagree with Jane Hanser, who I know really only has the safety of residents and bicyclists in mind. Perhaps before those stop signs were installed, it wasn't clear that there was, as Ms. Vera said, like clear, undisturbed sight lines. So I'm not worried about it. I enjoyed hearing or appreciated hearing some of the other residents, Margaret Ward and Mary Lee Belleville, talk about when do we listen to the people who live close by. As far as I could see, Ms. Vera submitted a petition signed by every resident of Bristol Road, as well as some around the corner on Chestnut and Comev, all saying that this parking spot is helpful. Like for me, the streets are generally for the public, and unless there's a public safety problem, I think they should be left for that. So I'm here to support the petition to appeal the decision of the Traffic Council. My constituents, my Ward 3 constituents, my former neighborhood, as somebody said, I think this is like not a problem seeking a solution that's beyond what is being called for here. So I support the neighbors and Ms. Vera and Mr. Vera and Andrea with a different spelling of Andrea. And I thank you all for coming to speak. And I hope that PSNT will also vote to uphold this appeal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. We're going to go to Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Chair Lucas. I'm going to read into the record again, Councillor Malachy, who's the other Ward 3 councillor, and myself. And some of it has been said before, but the installation, the no parking sign, the requester said that was prompted by people attending a bike light giveaway on the closed off portion of the carriageway, wanting to park as close as possible to the event and parking too close to the concrete barriers across the carriageway. She also said that she had to not been back to the spot since the stop sign on Bristol as the carriageway had been moved to be more visible. And here, the parking spot in question seems to be used most often by the letter carrier or otherwise visitors to that house. And I have some pictures I want to show the before and after, which moving the parking, the stop sign is a huge difference. Can I share my screen?
Hold on for a second. Ms. Delaney, does Councilor Wright need to request a suspension of rules?
Oh, sorry.
No, she does not.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so let's see. Oops. Can you see them now?
Yep.
Yes.
So originally, and Councilor Malachy took this from Google. Google's great, from a few years ago. And you can see where the arrow is, where the stop sign is, which you can't see it. And then she and I went and took a look, and you can see there's the barricades weren't down right there. And once they put the barricades, this house is on the corner, that resident lost all their parking in front of their house for guests. Now they only have on the side of the house. And then, oops, this is after. Huge difference moving that sign there. And actually, that's my car. And while we were there, almost all the people, well, actually all the people that were either walking or biking or running on there were going between the barricade in here or at the far end. Nobody was coming through at this end. I support repealing this and not putting the stop sign there. I mean, yes, they had an event and they had people who weren't following the rules. I think you could put cones up to help people not park in certain areas if you're worried about it during an event. But it doesn't get parked that often, but the few times that there is parking, someone's parking there, it is very much useful. So I support the resident there and all the other residents on the street there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Block.
Thank you, Chair. I hadn't been to Bristol Road or Street, whatever it is, until yesterday. It's very quiet, very attractive street, and there was very little activity on the street or on the carriageway in the middle of the day. So I really didn't see that this was calling for some safety improvement. And as I think several members of the public, and perhaps it was also Councillor Kelly, saying that we have a sort of practice of the public having access to public parking, and that unless there's a really good reason to change that, we should support that. So that's how I'm thinking about this, and that I will support the vote to repeal the Traffic Council decision. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Block. Are there any other comments from councillors? Oh, okay. We have Councillors Silber, then Roach. Go ahead.
Hi, just two comments. The first is I briefly, while we were discussing, checked and didn't find any examples of crashes going back to 2020. So I think that that's a pretty good argument that even prior to the stop sign, this has been a relatively safe place. I'm not great at visualizing crash data, but I think you can probably go farther back and see if there's ever been an accident there. And then the second thing is, and I think that there are often legitimate safety reasons for below 26-foot width streets to have limited parking for passage of emergency vehicles, but this is really not a pass-through street. I can't imagine that an emergency vehicle or fire truck would ever need to go through this to get to another location. So I would also support a repeal.
Thank you, Councillor Silber. Councillor Roach.
So this, I'm got a surprising amount, generated a surprising amount of email. Folks are saying this is not necessary. They don't want to sign. The problem's been addressed. Other feeders into ComAv don't have no parking zones like this. Cost of the sign. Notably, there isn't any. There wasn't any feedback, or I missed it, that this restricts available parking to meet local demand, that there's any parking scarcity. This causes a change to geometry or traffic patterns. So I'm a little, I'm struggling to understand the impact on the neighborhood and what's generating this level of concern about the sign. So I have a question through the chair to Mr. Kosis, if it's okay.
Go ahead.
Mr. Kosis, in light of the changed conditions by the stop sign moving, do you think there might be a different outcome if this were remanded back to Traffic Council?
I'm not sure what the answer to your question is. My sense is the Traffic Council members really don't feel very, very strongly either way. In this particular case, it was not unanimous. I remember that. And I mentioned before that administratively, we do restrict parking up to 50 feet of many different intersections across the city just to clear out sight lines. This is 55 feet, right? Still, I'm thinking this is a very busy pedestrian and running zone, right? So, I remember the director of transportation for DPW stating that this is a small safety benefit, especially for runners that are traveling eastbound through the barriers. And also, to your point, this is a very small section of street where the whole rest of the street on both sides, parking is available. So I don't know what would happen if this goes back to traffic council. Yeah, so I guess I can't answer that particular question.
No, I mean, I didn't think you could give me a guarantee one way or the other, but thank you for that. So I just want to be clear that it's very difficult to, in a situation like this, it would be very difficult to gather the stakeholders who would be who'd be looking for greater safety, right? The runners and the bikers who don't live here, don't live nearby, but for whom this is a resource, this is a resource that we hope that folks who are not direct abutters would use. I'm inclined, given that the 5 feet is just a little bit more than what's available to be done administratively, I'm inclined to either remand or repeal and let this be an administrative decision. This feels like maybe more horsepower than is required for the problem, although I do acknowledge that the special safety concern given the blocked in nature of that one section of the carriageway. Thank you.
Hold on, Councilor Roach, just a quick question. You said remand or repeal. Can you just explain what you mean by repeal? Does it mean to uphold the traffic council decision?
No, sorry, appeal, uphold, vote in favor of the appeal and as a mechanism to allow it to be managed strictly administratively.
Got it. Okay, thanks. I just want to be clear.
You look confused, Mr. Kosis. Does that sound right to you?
I think that I should just mention that I don't think that there's any intention at this time of putting any administrative restriction in up to 50 feet after this whole discussion. I think we would follow, of course, we would follow the interest and all the statements that we heard tonight from PSNT and City Council.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We're now going to go to Councilor Golden. Go ahead, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question, sort of following up on Councilor Silber's point about whether or not there's been a history of accidents or traffic mishaps or injuries at this intersection. It sounded like my colleague did his own research, and I just want to confirm if I can. If we can, with the city, with David, with the city's understanding of the intersection's history, is there any history here of accidents and injuries?
I'm not aware of any. It was not part of the presentation.
Okay. So thank you for that. Thank you to my colleague, Councilor Silber, for doing some due diligence on that issue. You know, I've run that carriage road hundreds of times in my life, and obviously there are openings all along the carriageway route. I understand this street feeds directly not just to the carriage way, but out into the main road, and not all do. But I'm thinking of all of the places at which, you know, I might cross an intersection on the carriageway with a side street, and I look at this one. I am familiar with the site. As Ms. Vara pointed out, the number of stop signs and other inhibitors of you know, what I would think are inhibitors of potential traffic accidents. I do not see a compelling rationale for this particular site for any additional parking restriction. And I'm certainly inclined to support the appeal, which repeals the traffic council decision. But thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Golden. We're going to go to Councillor Wright.
If there's no more comments, I'd like to make a motion to appeal option 3.
Okay, thank you. I guess we don't need the slide, Mr. Kosis. So,
well, maybe we should have the slide.
You want the slide? Okay, let's put it up. Mr. Kosis, can you share your screen and I'll just read it off? So option 1 was to uphold the traffic council decision. Option 2 is to uphold the traffic council decision with amendments. Option 3 is to repeal the traffic council decision, which is what Councillor Wright just said. And option 4 is to remand the matter back to traffic council. So Councillor Wright.
Yes, I make a motion for option 3, repeal the traffic council decision.
Okay, thank you. So Councillor Wright has made a motion, option 3, to repeal. Does anyone on the committee have any further comments or discussion on this particular docket item? Okay, seeing none, we are going to take a vote now. Ms. Delaney, can you do a roll call, please?
Councilor Lucas,
Aye.
Councilor Greenberg. Oh, let me help her out. Councilor Greenberg?
Oh, thank you. I couldn't unmute again. I'm aye.
You're an aye?
Yep.
Okay. Councilor Wright?
Aye.
Councilor Block?
Aye.
Councilor Irish?
Aye.
Councilor Roach? Councilor Roach?
Once I unmute.
Councilor Golden?
Aye.
And Councilor Silber?
Aye.
Okay, that is approved 8-0, option 3, repeal the traffic council decision.
Hey, thank you. And thank you to everyone who wrote us an email on this particular matter. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to our next docket item. But for this one, since I am the appellant, Vice Chair Block is going to chair the committee for this particular docket item. So go ahead, Councillor Block.
Okay. Thank you, Appellant Lucas. So we're going to take this up and have Mr. Kosis, or I guess Zach Lumel, you're going to do the presentation for what the traffic council decided. Am I right about that, Zach?
Hi, everyone. Yes, a few of us from the planning department will offer presentation.
Well, please go ahead. We're all ears.
Thank you. So I'll just turn it over to my colleague, Hannah Sternberg, to start us off, and we'll look forward to questions at the end.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah. I'm the outreach person for the planning department. So I'll kick it off. We're talking about the Newton Center Pilot Plaza here with the Public Safety and Transportation Committee. And as was stated earlier, so this is docket 36325, and it's the appeal of the Traffic Council decision TC 5925. So what we're going to go through today is a brief introduction for those who are not familiar. We're going to talk about what the plaza is, the Traffic Council decision, and what the appeal is, and then some of the data and the findings that we've taken throughout the course of the past few months, including usage and parking, where we're at now, so some of the winter conditions, and the administration's recommendation, and then the potential outcomes based on the actions tonight. So a brief introduction, here's some pictures of the plaza. So this is in the corner of Beacon, and so this is pre-plaza, pre-lot reclamation. And then we have in the summer, this was taken in June, of the same area from this picture on the left. We can see people are using it. There's some people in chairs. We have some light fixtures out as well. There's some kids out in the back too. And then some just general features of the plaza. So we have improved lighting and shade, and note that the shade structures were taken off during the winter months for just, improved sun when it's chilly out. We have some human-sized games and entertainment available, comfortable seating, and we have a survey, and we've heard a lot from folks who enjoyed the seating. They feel it's accessible, it's durable. We've heard lots of good things about the furniture in the plaza. And then we have safety and separation, so some jersey barriers to protect people from the cars. And then we also have public art. This is done by the students of Newton. We've coordinated with Arts and Culture to get these art pieces in. And then we also have outdoor dining available. In addition to that, we have QR codes that take you to a list of Newton Center businesses where you can order directly from the plaza. So here's another nice picture of the plaza. This was taken last week in the winter. And we'll go into further detail about some of these winter upgrades, but you can see there's some winter plants in the planters. We added some snow winter themed decorations, and we still have the nice lighting here as well. And so what we're talking about today is an appeal for the decision that was made on November 20th in Traffic Council. So I'm not going to read verbatim, but essentially on November 20th, Traffic Council unanimously voted to extend the trial of the plaza into next fall until October 31 to be reevaluated then. And so the appeal is of that decision, and we'll get into that further throughout this presentation. And I'll hand it off to my colleague Nora to talk about some of the data. Nora? Oh, she can't unmute.
I guess Miss
Oh,
Delaney, maybe.
There we go.
Oh.
Thank you. I just got permission. And for those of you I haven't met, my name is Nora Massler-Colello, and I am a planner here in Newton. So from June through August, the planning department conducted nearly daily observations of the Pilot Plaza and the adjacent green using the GEL public space tool. That's a methodology used for observing and documenting the use of public space. And the data is shown in this graph. And you can see that the plaza and the green usage occurred concurrently, suggesting that the plaza didn't necessarily draw people from the green. Both spaces were used. And here as well, you can see that usage peaked on both programmed days, so days with events, as well as days without events, and during both moderate and hot summer weather. And so kind of our takeaway from this was that events were a great draw, but that the plaza also functioned as an everyday public space for folks to gather and spend time in Newton Center. While we haven't formally counted use during the colder months, we have documented some winter activity, though overall use is naturally much lower at this time. We would expect to see similar patterns of higher use again as the weather warms this spring and summer if the plaza were to continue as Traffic Council voted. Next slide. Thank you, Hannah. So in order to evaluate how the experience of the plaza was for visitors, we conducted a survey and we received 223 responses. Let's see. The average rating of those responses was 4.7 out of 5 stars. 96% of respondents felt that the plaza was accessible, and 57% of respondents reported walking, biking, rolling, taking public transit, showing that visitors were reaching the plaza in a variety of modes. Next slide. Most survey respondents, 95%, reported visiting a local business, and nearly a quarter of those were visiting that business for the first time, suggesting that the plaza may be supporting new customer visits. Throughout the process, we also spoke directly with local businesses. Early concerns focused on the reduction of parking in the Langley lot. However, since the plaza's construction, some business owners have noticed some positive effects. Some have hosted events, and others, particularly restaurants and bakeries, have noted their patrons buying takeout and bringing it to enjoy in the plaza. On January 15th, the Economic Development Commission submitted a letter that I believe was in your packet for this meeting, stating that bringing in more people through social activity not only creates a more vibrant village center, but also attracts more people who can shop and dine at our retailers and restaurants. Next slide. Oh, there it is. So throughout 2025, in addition to evaluating, how the space was being used, we also conducted parking counts, both before the plaza's construction, and then after the plaza's construction in the summer and fall. And as these graphs show, on average, parking was available across the 4 public lots in Newton Center. This doesn't mean that every lot had availability at peak times. However, this does show that on average there was consistent availability. We also spoke directly with business owners about parking. As I mentioned before, there was significant concern prior to the plaza's construction. Some remain concerned about parking in Newton Center, and others who initially had significant concerns reported that they didn't receive any more comments or complaints from customers about parking than they did before the plaza was constructed. And with that, I will pass it off to Zachary Lamel.
Thank you. You can go to the next slide. So our understanding, well, let me get into what Hannah alluded to, is that with the cold months, we're well into those colder months. We went out and we took a fresh look at the plaza and were able to add some additional features. Again, remove the shade structures so that additional sunlight can get through, making sure the lighting is there and kind of updated to turn on for the change of for the earlier days, additional plantings, and just some small features just to give a little bit more to the plaza, knowing that it is very cold outside, of course. So next slide. And with that, we again, as Nora had mentioned, we are seeing usage every Wednesday. The Newton Public Schools are let out early, and I think if you go in the afternoon on those days, it's very common to see children using the plaza, given that there are not many spaces in Newton, let alone the state, the country, that are available to non-paying customers potentially. There also were events held in the plaza and during the holiday season. So again, people are making use of it, even though it is much colder. Next slide. A short video just of one of those events here. So carolers singing on a very windy, not great day. But they made the most of it. And just finally, I think to wrap up before talking about the options available to the committee, is that our understanding for the appeal were kind of threefold. One is that thinking about the usage, which we showed that it is used and has been used. Two is how it relates to economic development and the local businesses, which we spoke to. And then finally, I think the main reason was that the incoming administration, now established administration, should be the one to make that decision. And I know as part of the packet and materials given to you, the administration provided a letter of support for the continuation of the pilot plaza, and then letting it remain and thinking about long-term solutions where that plaza, this space where people are gathering, and clearly the need for that space has been made, can be done in a more permanent way. And I know there are folks from the administration here to speak on that if questions do arise. Next slide. Just like the other appeals before you, these are the four options. I won't read them in, and I'm happy to turn it back to the chair and the vice chair and take questions as appropriate.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that presentation, the slideshow. And I think we now turn to the appellate, who will make his observations known to us. Go ahead, Councilor Lucas.
Thank you. I am going to attempt to share my screen, so bear with me, okay? Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Let me do my... Okay, here we go. So this is the appeal of the Traffic Council decision. Let's begin. So what I did starting in December is I took a series of photographs of the plaza around the middle of the day every day. And here it is, December 24th around noon. And there's two things I want you to notice here. And then here's the December 26th around noon. There's a couple people here. The 27th, snowing, obviously not many people. The 28th, snow still on the ground. The 29th, the next day, the snow is gone. New Year's Day around 3 o'clock. And here's January 2nd around 1 o'clock. And here's January 15th. Maybe one or two people there. So there's two things I want you to pay attention to. One is the lack of people, which I completely understand. There's not many people here during the winter and colder months, as planning has already stated. But also, what is there? It's just tables and chairs. It's picnic tables, it's chairs. If you just go back, that's all that's there. Just tables and chairs. These could be easily relocated to the Newton Center Green. Obviously, it doesn't look like this right now. It could be relocated to the Newton Center Green where there's grass, it's cooler, there's shade, it's not a heat island. This is the ideal location to put the tables and chairs and the picnic benches and perhaps some park benches too. There's one picnic table here that you can see. And there's a park bench right there on Center Street. And then here's another view. Again, shade, more park benches, more picnic tables and people. And the city could also potentially plant some street trees over there along the Newton Center Green that abuts Center Street. This is the ideal location to put the plaza. And the parking lot can go back for cars. And here's another bird's eye view of the Newton Center Green. Again, you can see there's ample room to put more park benches, to put more picnic tables. But another thing I want you to notice here is the parking lot. This is a truly random photo taken from Google of the parking lot. And what do you know? It is full. It is full of cars. Something to think about. Another thing I want everyone to think about is the future usage of the parking lot. Right here is a image of of the former Walgreens on Langley Road, which is going to be a supermarket. A supermarket, roughly the size of the Trader Joe's on Washington Street. And we know how intense that parking lot is during peak times. This is going to bring more and more cars to Newton Center. And yes, I understand there is a parking lot in the back behind this. But as we know from experience of living in Newton, supermarket parking lots aren't exactly used for the customers of that particular supermarket, particularly the Star Market in Newtonville. Cars are going to overflow into the Newton Center parking lot, which means the demand for the parking is going to increase. I don't have a photo of it, but the Bigelow Dry Cleaners, the former Bigelow Dry Cleaners, that is vacant, and whatever goes in there next, maybe it's a restaurant, maybe it's another bakery, a coffee shop, I don't know, but it could also drive up the demand for the parking lot on Langley Road. So this is, and I know I'm jumping on Mr. Lamel's turf right now, so I'm sorry, sir. But here is our options for voting tonight. We can appeal. We can appeal as approved, appeal as approved as amended, deny, remand back to Traffic Council, and hold for trial. What I move is that the committee recommend to the full council that we amend the Traffic Council decision. There is absolutely no reason why the plaza should remain until October 31st of this year. Hopefully by then, or hopefully by May 31st, the administration will have ample data on how to incorporate the plaza onto the Newton Center Green, where it should have been to begin with. May 31st, that means the city will have all of the remaining of February, March, April, and May to collect data and then try to incorporate the plaza on the Newton Center Green if they so choose. So that is my presentation, and I formally make a motion that the Public Safety and Transportation Committee approve as amended for the plaza to be re-evaluated by May 31st of this year. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Lucas. Thank you for your motion. So I think, well, before we go...
Point of order.
Yes, Councilor Roach.
Do we not need to hear from the public before a motion is made?
Well, Ms. Delaney, what do you think about that?
Hello, it's totally up to you, Councilor.
Yeah, I think the motion is in order, but we will definitely hear from the public. I think the motion is general enough so that people's comments on the plaza generally are germane, as well as any comments on the effective date of the termination of the trial. So I think it's time to hear from the public. And let's see, Ms. Delaney, maybe you can help me. I don't think I can see everybody, but I do see Mr. Popper. Why don't you go first? Name and address, please.
So I'm Andrew Popper, and I live and work in Newton Center. My office is at 93 Union Street. I am a psychiatrist, and I spoke at the previous iterations of the Traffic Council discussions around the parking plaza. I commented then, and just to provide an update on that, a sizable proportion of my practice in psychiatry is of older adults, many of whom have mobility issues. They can drive, but they cannot walk significant distances. They can make it basically from essentially the southwest corner of the Newton Center lot, because there's almost never any parking on Union Street itself, to my office. And they can't really do Zoom. They don't do rideshare. These are not technically savvy folks. And so I was concerned at the time that this was going to be a significant impediment to folks who don't get out a whole lot and coming to my office, where they love being in Newton Center. They love the environment. They love coming to an appointment and walking down, shopping on Union Street, eating at Johnny's, etc. It's an outing, and I recognize the whole point of the plaza is for community, but there's a vulnerable subset of the community that I treat that is basically marginalized by this other attempt to create community. And so I'll just note, because I know I only get a little time, that I compared the number of in-person versus telehealth visits that I've had from the same year-over-year window of time from when the plaza began. It's since about 2023 or so, it's been pretty much constant. There's a change of just a few in one direction or the other. And so there were 44 more telehealth visits this time in this window than the previous year, which is a rather sizable jump. I'll note that telehealth for this population basically means phone calls. They can't do Zoom. I'm going to wrap it up.
Thank you.
They can't do Zoom. They can just do phone calls. So it's a really a shrinking of their existence. And so I remain not in favor of the plaza as it currently stands. It's hurting people.
Thank you, Mr. Popper. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to be heard?
We have a Mary Lee Belleville.
Mary Lee Belleville. I think we've heard from her before, but she'll have a comment on the current issue. Mary Lee, why don't you go ahead?
Thanks, Randy. Mary Lee Belleville, 136 Warren Street. I very much support the idea of a community space in Newton Center, call it a plaza, whatever. But I agree with Chair Lucas that the place for this is the green, and it can be a win-win. We can still have, in some ways, to me, it's a preferable location. It's natural, it's green, it's shaded. It's not, as it was referred to, as a heat island. So it's not like we have to give up a community space. It just makes a lot more sense in the green. And then that also addresses concerns that businesses have had. I've heard them express them in meetings regarding the parking. So I think that's, we should seek for a win-win. And I think the win-win is to relocate the community space to the green. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary Lee. Any other members of the public? Ms. Delaney, you'll have to help me. I'm not seeing any hands. You see some?
M. Ward.
M. Ward, as in Meg Ward. Meg, why don't you go ahead and comment?
Okay, yeah. I guess you heard now you're hearing from me a second time. Meg or Margaret Ward, 957 Washington Street. I gotta be honest, I find it so stressful going to Newton Center now. I used to go there very frequently to eat and meet up with friends, and I go there a lot less now with all that. Parking seems to be so difficult to find. And it just becomes a stressful experience. So I would love to see the parking spaces restored. Because after all, what are parking spots for? If not for supporting the businesses, for clients to park and do business. So that's really the purpose of parking spots. So, and just one other point, because I'm a data analyst, if you're going to throw a graph in front of me, I'm going to nitpick it. But, I was looking at it with regard to the line chart that was being shown. I find it amazing that how can I'm just curious how you explain the really sharp increase that went to July 20th, but there was no event at all. And it was also 88 degrees. So that's really hot. So being on that on the tarmac or the on the parking lot, then it had to be in the 90s. But I'm just curious, what if no event was taking place in Newton Center? How do you explain such a stark increase on that line? But you don't need to answer it now. But I'm just pointing out some anomalies that I see. But anyways, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, may I just answer to the graph question?
Sure, go ahead.
So the data in that chart is essentially from a whole day. So we took counts at multiple times during a day, so 2 to 3 times a day, and that's where those numbers are coming from.
Just my own comment on that graph is I think that graph was covering about a 6-week period. Am I right about that? I think it looked like approximately July 1st to approximately mid-August. And in terms of transparency, the whole time period that the plaza has been in operation, it would be helpful to see that entire time period. Whatever the data is, it is. Just my own comment on how we process information like that. Josh Morse, I see your hand up, and I do want to give you an opportunity to comment. I also see that Lauren Berman is part of this, and she may have a comment. But before I ask members of the administration, are there any more members of the public who wish to make a comment? Ms. Delaney, you see anybody?
I do not.
Okay. Josh Morse, COO. Nice to see you. Looks like you're unmuted now.
Hi. So thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak briefly here this evening. First of all, thank you to the residents and the business owners who have reached out and have participated in this process, both prior to and at this meeting. Just speaking on behalf of the administration, we are looking forward to working right away with the Parks and Rec Department and the Parks and Rec Commission. For folks that didn't see the letter in the backup that we previously submitted, we are committed to exploring and partnering with the Parks and Rec Commission and Department to look at opportunities to create the plaza in the green. And then ultimately, once that is up and online, which we would look to do as soon as possible, remove the plaza from the parking lot and restore those parking spaces. That is something that we're going to hit the ground running right away on. We are asking that we continue the trial. I think partially because we certainly credit where credit's due. I think the planning department has done a very good job at identifying that there is a demand for that kind of outdoor plaza space. At the same time, I recognize that this is New England, and there are time periods where that demand is going to be higher, and there's going to be time periods where that demand is lower. And we want to make sure that we are balancing the needs and interests of our business community, their patrons, our residents, while also providing meaningful opportunities for passive and mainly passive recreation and gathering and that sense of community that comes with it. So just wanted to share that with the group and look forward to moving this forward rapidly in the coming weeks.
Okay. Thank you, Josh. I think it's time to take it into committee and hear from members of the committee and other city councilors who are joining us. I guess I see that Councilor Domovid has joined us. Nice to see you. And again, my apologies if I'm missing anybody here. Councilor Greenberg is here. Well, the members of the committee are here, so I won't repeat that. Councilor Kelly, I think Councilor Kelly has joined us. So I see a couple of hands up. Councilor Irish, why don't you go first?
Thank you, Councilor Block. And thank you for the presentation from the Planning Department and from Councilor Lucas. I have a couple questions just by point of background. I apologize if I missed it, but why was the pilot extended? I mean, my understanding of a pilot is usually generally it's a feasibility, you gather data, which it appears that you did, and to make a decision, make some changes, under a short time. And so that's one question, just why it was extended. Two, because there's a lot of talk about the Newton Center Green as a possibility, I was wondering if that was considered at the outset of the pilot. And if not, why not? Just if there's something to think about moving forward, if that's a plan to move there, were there any, if that was in the running to do the pilot, why or why not? And the survey, I know you showed some data from the public who visited, but was there a survey from the businesses? And I may have missed that, from all the businesses, and how many, and survey data from them as they're like largely the stakeholders in a lot of this with their parking. So that's it for my questions. And thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would any members of the planning department want to respond and enlighten
I'd be
us?
happy to. And
Sure, go
I'm thinking, I think it might be better to take it in 2, 3, 1. So in terms of why the green wasn't chosen. So I think as everyone here stated, the green is an incredible amenity. Um, and all of us, I think within planning would say that the intent of this was not to say this is the spot that a plaza should be in. The intent of the pilot was to learn about and seeing if what is the center of Newton's largest village center, a public parking lot, could be utilized in a different way. And this has been studied for decades within the city. There's a whole document, a whole team of residents that got together, the task force that produced the document, and then a competing group. There was splinters. And what we said is, as planners, we love to plan, we love to create documents, but we want to do something. And there's consensus. And when we brought this up, everyone brought up Post Office Square as why can't we have Post Office Square here in Newton Center? Why can't we have something other than parking lot? There was consensus about this, but no one has done it. And so the point was to test that Newton Center can function and be enhanced and thrive when, some of that parking in that core area goes somewhere else. And as part of the pilot, we increase parking around the periphery as well to mitigate that loss of parking. So again, it wasn't about proving this is the best place for the plaza, which is why the green was not chosen. It was really looking at the parking area and finding that can be used for something else, and the sky, doesn't fall. And number 3, we spoke with the businesses throughout this process. We got off to a really bumpy start, no question about it. We didn't do the right things. We didn't get out. We didn't get out and engage them in the right way. Obviously, you heard from a local business owner just now. There isn't consensus. I do think speaking to the businesses regularly starting, kind of launching this project in the winter of 2025, so a year ago, to throughout the spring and the creation of and then once it's up and running and into the fall, I think there are businesses that have come around. There's businesses that have become more supportive. I don't think we have gotten more combative. I don't think we've gotten angrier responses but I'm also very quick to say that I don't think we don't have the data to say the plaza is increasing business or it's hindering businesses within Newton Center. We just don't have that data. There's just way too many other factors at play. And number one was what again?
Why was it extended? I might have missed that. Like,
Oh,
why-
sure.
Yeah.
As part of this process, the lot was completely repaved and it was made more ADA accessible, and that was through DPW, and because of that and some other things, we got a much later start than we did, and so I think we really we want to study and the usage, and of course I think we understand that we can do more. We can do more programming, we can do more arts and culture, especially given the administration has doubled the staff related to economic development, and others, that we want to explore other opportunities, making this a space and making this a space to prove that that demand, that need is there, and that it could go somewhere else, or it could go in a longer term vision down the road.
And
I
I will just add on to that as well. I think we knew the winter months were going to be, as Mr. Morris mentioned, it's New England, it's cold, it's less used. But I think it was kind of wanting to get the most out of the plaza that we could, seeing how much people enjoyed it in the spring and summer, just giving another chance for those folks who did really enjoy using that space, while the administration gets up and running and looking at other kind of gathering opportunities, not in the parking lot.
And just a quick clarification, when did it open? I can't remember the day, sort of. When was that?
The very end of June.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you for that, those exchanges. Before I call on Councilor Wright, I just want to thank Mr. Lamel for referring to the bumpy start. No one until this point had even referred to it in such a diplomatic way. One observation which I have about all this is that I think that start is still influencing people. I think the negative reactions are part of what we're having to process now. And I hope we do process it, and I hope that the substance of what everybody's trying to envision can overcome that, but maybe not. It's just part of what we've gone through, and it's just unfortunate that the start was that bumpy. Zach, can you hold your comments a little bit so that some other counselors can dive in here? Okay, Councilor Wright, go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm happy to hear that the administration is looking to move the plaza elsewhere. I totally agree with that. I mean, I was in a meeting with business owners just, I don't know, a month or two ago, and they're very, very nervous with the new Chinese grocery store coming in. And they're looking forward to it, but they're worried about how much of that, more of that triangle parking lot is going to be used. And, Councilor or Chair Lucas showed, just a Google shot with almost all the space open. And personally, if I'm going to sit out there and be with friends and at a picnic table, I'd rather be in a green area with trees than sitting in a parking lot. That's just my personal preference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Silber.
Hi, thank you, Acting Chair Block. Hopefully I got your title correct there.
I think you got it exactly right.
So the biggest detriment that I've really heard from everyone is concern that we don't have enough parking. So I was really interested at the data that was displayed about parking availability. And I have kind of two separate questions. The first question is, averages are great. It would be really helpful. Perhaps it's moot at this point since we're already talking about moving, but to know what the standard deviation is. Just for anybody who's not a statistics nerd, standard deviation tells you sort of more about the average. So an average can be 100% 2 times and 10% 2 times, and that can equal 55%. And an average can be 55% 4 times. And obviously, if parking is full half of the time, you care a lot. And so the standard deviation tells you that, and it's an important piece of information. The second piece is that I'm wondering if we have access to the passport parking data through the DPW. And the reason I ask that is twofold. First of all, is it gives us nearly perfect information about what the actual parking constraints are. And then the second is that perhaps it points us in a direction of solving the parking problem long term, because if that data can inform people as to sort of where parking is, that may solve a problem. In the same way, if you drive into Logan, you know that you can't park on levels 1 through 4 because they're full, and it tells you. That's probably too much to take on in this conversation, but I guess my question really is, if parking is really a problem, then the passport parking data should tell us, in some senses, perfectly, it's pretty clearly a problem or it's pretty clearly not a problem. And I think it helps address some of the concerns. And I just want to very briefly address Mr. Popper's point, which is that there is a separate question, which is, do we have parking in the right places, whether it's disabled or handicapped parking? And I think that that's a separate question that maybe the Traffic Council should take up at some point as we're thinking about how to optimize the parking for various people, various users. And I think that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Silber. Is there any other counselors who have a comment?
Councilor Greenberg and Councilor Roach, Councilor Damubed.
Oh, I see the hands now. Thank you very much. I'm not able to tell the order of the hands, so this is totally arbitrary. Counselor Roach, why don't you go first?
Thank you. So I met with my other Ward 6 or my Ward 6 colleagues this morning, and we share a few thoughts, and then on when we diverge a bit. We believe that it is important that there be a community space in Newton Center, and that the benefits are balanced with parking displacement. There's clearly some need and desire here. We're sensitive to the concerns of the business. And whatever we do going forward requires the commitment of the administration to make it work. And I think we're seeing a little of that, but this direct to Mr. Morse, there's a difference between moving something and then saying, committing the resources, the time, and the energy to make whatever it is that we decide work. Counselor Gordon was very firm in our discussion that, and I want to make sure I represent this properly, that she thinks that the plaza should be moved onto the green. And here's my concern, which is not the same as Councilor Gordon's, which is the green already, there are two pieces of the green, right? There's the green between Beacon and Langley, and then there's the green between Langley and now I'm forgetting what the road is just north of Langley, which I believe is referred to as the Memorial Green. The green between Beacon and Langley is already active space, and it may not have the same kind of programming opportunities, but I think it's a difference between reconfiguring the green and creating an additional space. And if we're thinking about kind of moving street furniture and structures from the parking lot to the green, we're not doing an and, we're doing an or. And I'm not sure that's the right direction to go. And it feels to me like that's a predetermined decision, and I don't feel great about that. And maybe Mr. Morse, you can clarify on that point. I will not support the motion as currently offered. I understand, Councilor Lucas, your concern about the time. I think that this requires more time to get it right. I think that Mr. Lamel's description, I can't remember the right word, but there was a little bit of a stumble to get this thing off on the right foot. And I think that it deserves a full season of commitment to making it work. And I think that the concerns about parking are well made and well offered, but I think that there are alternatives to simply taking kind of the prime real estate in Newton Center and saying its best and highest use is parking. I think there are other ways to solve for the parking problem. And I will note, just for the historical record, that about 20 years ago, we did a bit of a pilot at the other end of the triangle, and we had Jersey barriers up, and I designed and contributed a bench that hangs on the Jersey barrier, which once I refinish it, I will be contributing to the plaza at the other end. So I would like to hear from Mr. Morse, and I would prefer a motion to extend the trial and hope there's a commitment from the administration to make a unique, vibrant community space work.
Okay, Councilor Roche, we have a motion on the floor. We're going to deal with the motion first, and we'll see if that passes or fails. And whatever the result is, we're open to other amendments afterwards. Josh Morse, I want to hold off on you for 1 second. Give the other counselors a chance to comment, and we'll definitely come back to you for further commentary. It's always interesting to hear what you have to say. Cyrus Domovid, why don't you offer us your observations?
Thank you, acting committee chair Block. I hope I got the title right again from after Councilor Silber. I just wanted to add two thoughts really here. The first being that I was very pleased over the course of the last few months to see this plaza being used in particular by young people in our community, and that they were finding themselves able to have a free space to be in, a kind of third space beyond school and home that they could use. And I want to also, as the conversation seems to have turned towards the idea of repositioning the plaza to a green area, I just want to flag that for people with mobility needs, whether, and especially those who might use a mobility device, that may limit their access and accessibility to the plaza, as grass, turf, muddy areas come with different mobility challenges. And so that it could change the use and the ability for people with mobility needs to access this space and this kind of unique space in our city. So I'd like for that to be kept in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Golden, you're up next.
Thank you, Acting Chair. Appreciate it. Just a couple of quick observations. I do want to, regardless of where I end up going on this motion, I want to salute the effort of the planning department here. My family and I spent a lot of time in Newton Center, and I appreciate just the effort, the intentional focus on getting something activated in that bit of geography. I mean, look, I think by just about anyone's conception, a parking lot in the center of commerce, essential. Yes, we need parking. Absolutely, it is important for those businesses. That's what keeps them thriving. On the other hand, a parking lot right in the middle of this major commercial center is a soulless feature. There's just a reference to the Post Office Square. Post Office Square is, of course, magnificent. There's a whole variety of reasons why Post Office Square came to be. It is a gigantic parking garage that was submerged, and the revenue that is spun off of that helps create this beautiful park. We don't have that going for us in Newton Center, but trying to do something, anything to energize and make that an attractive space, I really salute the effort. My family does use it. My daughters are teens. They use it, especially in the summer in the nice weather. There is significant value to it. Now, whether it belongs on the asphalt or the adjacent green space, I'm open to that question, but I do want to salute the effort of planning. I wasn't around when this was rolled out, so there's an acknowledgement that there were some missteps with that. I appreciate that acknowledgement so that we can all move forward with a healthy decision, constructive way forward that works for everybody or most. So I'm hoping we get there, but just wanted a shout out to planning for thinking and continuing to think about how to make that a vital, energetic place for Newton Center that serves, the human beings who live in around and travel through it, as well as the businesses. I'm hoping there is a happy medium and outcome that can be achieved here. But thank you.
Thank you, Counselor, and thank you for your positive comment on this whole process. I think it's worth keeping that in mind. Your very heartfelt reference to the importance of parking reminds me that in some ways, we really should try and get a better handle on that need. I think several people have alluded to that, the pending grocery store and how that will affect things. And in that spirit, in that context, it is peak time analysis. That is what traffic counselors do. When we get these reports that are paid for by developers, it is peak time. It's not how well things are running at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 9 o'clock in the evening. And I think we should just keep that in mind as we think about all the different comments that have been made and recommendations that have been made about going forward. Okay. Mr. Morris, you have some more comments for us?
Actually, I believe Councilor Greenberg is up.
I'm sorry. I don't see you, Councilor Greenberg, on my screen. My apologies.
Okay.
Councilor Greenberg, why don't you offer your comments?
Thank you, Acting Chair. And I apologize for not having my video. My internet is not working well tonight. But I totally agree with Councilor Golden. He's absolutely right. We need to move away at some point from having a parking lot as a focal point of our city center. It's unattractive. It's not community building. At some point, we need to face it and do something with it. And I appreciate all the work that's gone into the pilot. I speaking to the motion, I support extending it to October because we will only be gaining more data and important information as the warmer months progress. So I do not support the chair's amended item and will support extending it to October. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any more counselors? I should ask Ms. Delaney, do you see any hands that I don't see?
No, just Mr. Morse and Mr. Lamel.
Yes, well, let's take Mr. Morse first and then Mr. Lamel.
Thank you. Very quickly, just going to respond to the questions that were raised. So why not be more committed to putting the plaza on the green? Really, the only reason that I'm being careful with my words is out of enormous respect for our Parks and Rec Commission. That portion of land is under their purview, and we want to make sure that we are not just assuming that they are going to graciously accept our desire to put the plaza there. We want to work collaboratively with them. So that's why I'm choosing my words carefully. To the second question that was raised, are we going to just move the plaza furniture to the current plaza furniture to the green? The answer is no. We're going to be evaluating several options for how we do this. I would say we don't want to pave paradise and put up a parking lot, right? We don't want to just pave over the green and put the plaza there. I think we want to make sure that whatever we do is something that fits well in the context of the green and in Newton Center. And we want to explore several different options with the Parks and Rec Commission, the business community, the residents. And then lastly, very briefly, whatever we create will certainly be ADA, MAB compliant. We want it to be a welcoming and inclusive location. So pathways to get to it are also quite important as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Morris. Mr. Lamel?
Councilor Lucas raised his hand. I don't know if you want to call
Yeah.
him first.
No. You want to hold off your comment, Councilor Lucas? Or
he was shaking his head, so I'm happy to.
Sure. Go ahead. Yes.
One very quick comment on the parking need. I think sensitive and understand the concern around parking, and that's why, as part of this pilot process, there was additional parking opportunities within and around the village center that were identified to mitigate, again, that loss within the Newton Center triangle lot itself. That being said, I think what this really gets down to, looking at data from traffic engineers that was done in 2017, that was done in 2013, looking at our counts, which are by no means perfect. So I'm not saying they can't be picked at and changed. But there seems to be a perception of a parking problem versus the actual there actually being a parking problem. That is not to say that there are not peak times. That is not to say that at noon on a Friday that there is not parking in the triangle lot. What the data shows is that there is always public parking available somewhere within the city. I cannot guarantee that you can park right in front of the store that you want to go to. So I think getting back to the first item you heard tonight, signage and wayfinding is critically important. There are lots that exist in Newton Center right now that people don't know are there. So we can do a better job of that. We should have done a better job of that, as part of the Plaza pilot. But the data is very clear, talking about, statistical analysis. We see the same things over the last 15, 20 years. The same numbers keep coming up again and again. So, I mean, and if this plaza extended, trials extended, which I hope it does, we will continue to take parking counts. We will look and investigate the passport data. But I can confidently say that the same results are appearing over and over again with different people looking at those numbers. at peak times. We kind of try and follow best practice when it comes to that.
Thank you, Mr. Lamel. Councilor Lucas, I want to hold you for a moment if it's okay. And Councilor Roach, have you got a quick additional comment that you wanted to make? Yes, Councilor Roach, go ahead.
Yep. I think one of the things that keeps coming up is this notion that it's a heat island. It's a terrible basis for having a public space. I'm assuming that if this became permanent, that there are all sorts of options for taking up the pavement and making it different kinds of hardscape and adding landscaping so that the nature of the trial, it has to be capable of being returned to parking, but if it became permanent, or if something you extend the green, there's a way to do this where we extend the green and have green space. So it does sound like it's kind of coming down to parking versus non-parking. I think we want to take the issue of the kind of hostility of the environment, which is still a pretty good environment, out, because that's something that can be changed.
Councilor Lucas, I hope we're getting closer to a vote on your motion. You have a last couple of comments?
Last couple of comments, Acting Chair.
You just got muted. There we go.
Did you hear my first comments?
No.
Okay,
No.
all right.
Start over.
All right, I'll start over. Sorry about that, everyone. So Newton Community Pride, now called Spark Newton, has had programming on the Newton Center Green for a number of years. We also have the pianos on the Newton Center Green. They did the decorated doors. I think I have that right, on the Newton Center Green. There's been ample programming on the Newton Center Green where it is cooler, it is not a heat island, there is shade, there is trees. And I just want to go back to the beginning of the plaza in Newton Center, because some people have said, and I think they said there were some missteps. I remember it was last summer at a Newton City Council meeting. The council stood outside on the steps, and we were addressed by a number of Nonantum residents. This is about the lines, the painted lines on Adams Street. And a prominent Nonantum resident, who I've known since I was a teenager, stated that too many decisions are made in a closet. They are made without any public interaction or feedback. And that's what happened here with the original plaza design, which was supposed to be much, much bigger. And that is why this has been so controversial for almost a year now. And what I proposed of shortening it, the plaza, from October 31st to May 31st was a compromise. The plaza remains. If my motion passes, the plaza remains. It just ends 5 months earlier. And that is enough time, approximately a year, for the city to collect data to move the plaza to the Newton Center Green, where there already is programming. That's what the motion was. I mean, the plaza, cost approximately $300,000 in ARPA funds, where the public and the city council had no say in it at all, but the city council does have a say on this. So again, the motion is to amend the traffic council decision from October 31st to May 31st. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Lucas. I think we're ready to take a vote on your motion. I just need to clarify, however, that changing the end date of this trial does not prejudge what will happen to the plaza. Whether it's continued, whether it's modified, how it's modified, those are decisions that the administration wants to consider. And Mr. Morse's reference to the Parks and Recreation Commission is valid. They are a stakeholder in all of this. So just keep that in mind as you decide whether to support the motion to end the trial on May 31st rather than October 31st. Any last comments? We're just voting on the end date to the trial. We're amending the decision of the Traffic Council. At least that's the proposal. Any last comments? Yes, Councilor Wright.
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Morris. And my question for him is, when do you think you might be able to move the plaza?
So again, I don't want to get out ahead of the Parks and Rec Commission, but what I will say is we look forward to meeting with them in the next few weeks to begin that conversation. We will move as quickly as that process allows us to do. Folks that have worked with me for a while know that I can make things happen very quickly. I want to make sure the Parks and Rec Commission is involved and supportive, and I also want to make sure that we are communicating with and hearing from our business community and our residents.
And do you know when, oh, there's a stop work order. I was going to ask, do you know when the grocery store is going to open? But they have a stop work order right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure when they're slated to open, but I can certainly find out or try to find out and get back to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. I think we should do a roll call vote. Ms. Delaney?
Councilor Lucas,
Aye.
Councilor Greenberg,
No.
Councilor Wright,
Aye.
Councilor Block,
Aye.
Councilor Irish,
Aye.
Councilor Roach,
No.
Councilor Golden,
Aye.
Councilor Silber.
Aye.
Okay, that vote is 6-2.
So the motion passes. So the Traffic Council, or what's before us now, is an amendment to the Traffic Council decision. And I guess we need to take a vote on the underlying motion, which is to do what? Well, where are we, Ms. Delaney?
I thought the motion was to amend Traffic Council's decision from October 31st, 2026 to May 31st, 2026. That was the motion made.
Right. So now do we need a second vote on the overall motion to approve the amended Traffic Council decision?
No.
Okay. So we're done.
Because that was the motion, yes.
Okay. All right. We're done. I believe this is the last item on the agenda. I'm going to turn this back to, no, we have another item.
No, we have more.
Oh dear. Okay. Back to the chair. Chair Lucas, you get to continue this.
Okay. Thank you, former acting chair. All right. Let's continue with the agenda. Docket number 370-25, parens -17-26. David Kostis providing the annual report of the work of the Traffic Council for 2025. Mr. Kostis?
Yes. Let me share again. And I'll try and be quick. This is supposed to be just a high-level report of the Traffic Council actions from last year that I do every year. I did prepare a long memo in the Friday packet, which is, it's mostly just a list of all of the Traffic Council items heard, and then a summary. I think it's best to sort of focus on this one. This is the only slide I have in the presentation. It's the summary slide from the memo. So I'll mention a few things from here, from this slide. Traffic Council had 10 meetings in 2025. We handled 85 different items in 2025. It's maybe a little bit higher than the typical number of items that are heard every year at Traffic Council. Mostly the items were approved, 75% were just approved. So for every single item, there was a presentation that was made, public comment, and again, most of the items were approved. We did have a much larger number of appeals last year than usual. We had 5 appeals. Usually we have either 0 appeals or 1 appeal. So I'll just quickly mention the appeals from last year. One appeal was on Islington Road, right? It was a request to restrict parking on along one block of Islington Road. Traffic Council voted not to put in the restriction. Then City Council overturned that vote and did put in the restriction on that block. The second appeal was for 15 parking permits at the Cooper Center, so that the Cooper Center staff could park in the Austin Street lot without paying the meter. Traffic Council voted to approve those permits. It was appealed, and then City Council upheld that vote, and the 15 permits were issued. And then the other 3 items were heard tonight, right? So we had Bristol Road. The vote was overturned by this committee. We had the left turn from Beacon Street into the Langley lot. This committee overturned that Traffic Council vote as well. And then, of course, we just heard the last appeal for the trial of the Langley lot. This is actually the first time we've ever had appeals to Traffic Council trials. That never happened before. So these were the first 2. And of course, the last vote was that this committee upheld, for the point of view of Traffic Council, what the vote was for that the Traffic Council trial was upheld, but to be reevaluated on May 31st. What else from this slide? I see that I can highlight the 25 item backlog of items waiting to be heard. Some of these are new items, but many of them are just sort of ongoing trials that are being held for different kind of construction projects around the city, like around the Franklin School and the Countryside School, the one-way on Elm Road by Newton North High School. That's just a trial. It's one of these 25 that's considered part of the backlog. You know, all the changes around Lincoln Elliott, while Forest Man School is temporarily in that neighborhood. So I think that'll basically do it. I can take some questions if there are any. Usually it's typical for the committee to just NAN this item as it's a discussion item. Thank you.
Are you all set?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Kosis. Do any members of the committee or any other counselors on the call right now have any questions? If so, just raise your hand and ask them to Mr. Kosis. No questions. Okay. Well, I will take a motion to NAN this item. Anyone want to make that motion?
Sure, I'll be glad to make the motion. No action necessary.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Block. Any further discussion on Councilor Block's motion?
I do have one. I noticed that I can't raise my hand while I'm sharing the screen, but I did have one question, if I could. I just wanted to.
You have a question to ask yourself?
I think it's a question for the committee. I just wanted to make sure that this process is useful for the members of the committee, that I can sort of plan to do a similar summary at the end of 2026 to present back to the committee, next year. Is this something that the committee finds useful and would like me to continue working on during the course of this year?
I do like this, but I'm just one out of 8. Councilor Silber, then Roach.
More information is better. I mean, as long as it's not a huge amount of work for you, it's great to have this kind of stuff so that we can understand what's going on. It's hard for us to pay attention to every single piece of action that's happening. So I appreciate it.
Okay. And also, if you don't have any questions right now, you could always put your questions in writing to Mr. Kosis at any time about the Traffic Council, of course. Councilor Roach, then Irish.
Thank you. Mr. Kostas, it might be helpful to also include some broad categories. What's parking, what's geometry changes, what's speed limits, etc.
Thank you. Good idea.
Okay, you're all set. Councilor Irish, then Wright.
Oh, well, Councilor Roach asked my question, so thank you, Councilor Roach. No other questions.
Okay. Councilor Wright.
Councilor Roach had my question too, but I would also, though, have the categories and then the wards at top. So you can see, like, are there all the speeding ones in Ward 8 versus, you know, so you can see where the issues are.
Ross Tabbitt.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Councilor Roach with the best question of the night.
Yeah.
So we have a motion to NAN from Councilor Block. We're going to do this on a voice vote. For the new councilors, NAN, let me just explain, it is no action necessary, and it will not come back later this term unless it's redocketed. So that's what NAN means, no action necessary.
Thank you.
All right, so let's take a voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous. Okay, thank you.
Kostas.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kostas, for your time this evening, and I will also see you at Traffic Council. Okay, moving on in the agenda, we have 3 auto dealer licenses. We're going to just do them one at a time. Item 51-26, Class 2 auto dealer license, Old Time Garage. I believe this is all set and ready to go, Ms. Delaney?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions on this particular item? All right, I'll take a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Okay, Councilor Block made the motion. We're going to do this on a voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it is approved, unanimous. Item 52-26, Class 2 auto dealer license, Auction Direct Pre-Owned Incorporated. This one is all set. So I'll accept, first of all, are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay, thank you. We're going to do a voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. It is unanimous, 8-0. Last item, 53-26, Class 2 auto dealer license, Stans Automotive Incorporated. This is all set, so I'll accept the motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Councilor Block, you're 3 for 3. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. It is approved. It is unanimous, 8-0. That is our agenda for the evening, and it is 9:30. It's a lot longer than our last meeting, so we are adjourned, and have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Good night.